What I'm going to be making today is a pretty traditional side dish for our large family gathering at Thanksgiving. It's not something I usually make. My brother-in-law usually makes it, and I believe my wife's grandmother was the one who started it. And it's not something super unique, but this is my take on it, and it's basically a combination of the two favorite sides from Thanksgiving, stuffing and mashed potatoes. One real quick thing to get out of the way here, I'm calling it stuffing. I know a lot of people have a problem with that when it's not in the bird, but it's the same stuff. It's just being cooked a different way, not in the bird. And what I'm starting with here today is 3 full baguettes that have been cut up. I dried the pieces in the oven for an hour at 200 degrees, and then I let them sit out on a tray overnight. So they're nice and dry here. And as you can see, there's a mix here of some multigrain baguettes and some traditional French baguettes. So really, you can use any bread you want, but the equivalent of about 3 baguettes here. And there may be some left over, and that's fine because that can just stand on its own as a great stuffing. Both of the components of this individually can be their own side dishes if you have more than you need to make this one. Now, the first thing we need to do with this is not here. We have to head over to the stove and cook up our ingredients that are going to go with this. Now, in my skillet here on the stove, I have my burner at about medium. I'm going to add a pound of breakfast sausage. This is a sage breakfast sausage, and we want to break this up. This sage breakfast sausage already has some of those great Thanksgiving flavors in there with the sage, but we're going to be adding more. At the same time here, we're going to add 1 small onion that's been chopped. And we do want to brown this sausage, but we don't want to incinerate it. Want a little bit of color and texture on the outside, but we don't want it so cooked that it's fully crispy crisp. We want a little bit of moisture left in it. Not raw, we need to cook this fully, but don't overcook it. You also want to break the pieces down so it can mix into our stuffing mixture easily. Next up, I'm going to add 12 ounces of marinated artichoke hearts that have been chopped up. These are marinated in oil. You could use the ones in water, but I prefer the ones that have been marinated in oil. I drained these first and then chopped them up. I think there's more flavor in the ones that have been marinated in oil. We're going to add some of our seasoning now. Got a teaspoon of kosher salt, teaspoon of a coarsely ground black pepper, half a teaspoon of dried parsley flakes, half a teaspoon of dried thyme, and half a teaspoon of dried sage. And again, keep breaking that sausage up. If you can't get bulk sausage like I have, you can buy individual, breakfast sausage links, cut them open, and just squeeze the filling in here. Now, a stick of unsalted butter. That's 8 tablespoons. Let our butter melt down in here. Our butter is melted here. We just want to give this sausage another minute or so to finish cooking. Let our onions soften a little more. And then we're going to pour this on top of our bread pieces. I get all of our sausagey, oniony goodness in here, all the liquid, everything. We are going to be adding more liquid, some chicken stock, or chicken broth. We want to get all this in here. This is very hot right now, and I'm going to slowly start mixing this in. I don't want it to spill out. This is, I think, my biggest bowl. Generally, if you've watched my videos, you know I'm using bowls that are much too small for what I'm trying to put in them, but I think we'll be okay in this one. Maybe. This part of the process for the stuffing is moisture. We're trying to get enough moisture into these bread pieces to soften them without making them mushy. One of the nice things about this dish is you're going to be putting mashed potatoes on top, which are going to be having their own moisture, which is going to go down into the stuffing to help give it even more as it cooks in the final stages. But we need to get it to a good place first. Now we're going to add some chicken broth. I'm using low sodium chicken broth because I'd rather correct for the flavor by adding more salt than having too much. Plus, we've already got some salt in here. That sausage has salt, but we will taste it to see if we need more. Now, I've got plenty of chicken broth. I've got like 64 ounces standing by. We're not going to need that much. I'm going to pour maybe 8 ounces or a cup in here first to see how we're doing. So about a quarter of this container right here. And this is a process where you're going to be adding, mixing, testing. That's the way to get really good stuffing. At a certain point, I'm going to switch over to my hands here because you can feel it so much better when you're mixing to see how soft, how hard these bread pieces are. And don't know if you can see, but already the volume of the bread is going down because it's getting that moisture in there. It's getting softer. It's shrinking a little bit as that moisture is absorbed. And that's what we want. Now for the baking dish I'm going to be using for the final product here, roughly a 9 or 10 by 13. Mine's oval, but about a 9 or 10 by 13 should be good. And you want it deep, at least 2 inches. I think mine's between 2 and 3 inches deep. And that's going to help you get the layers. They don't need to be super thick layers, but you want enough so that you do have distinct layers. Going to add some more here. This is probably another cup right here. And the reason we keep mixing like this is because that liquid wants to go down to the bottom of the bowl. So you need to get the pieces down there and moved around so some of them that don't have enough moisture can absorb that. Yeah, seriously, if you're looking for just a good stuffing, this is a great recipe. Another thing I like to add to this is apples. Granny Smith apples have been chopped up. Really good. And we do have one more ingredient to add once this gets a little bit softer. Once we're closer to the final stage of this. Again, you can see it's still reducing in volume here, going down below the lip of the bowl now. Now, some people like to add celery to their stuffing when you're cooking that up. That's fine, you can if you want. I don't always do that. I like celery, but I don't think it adds a lot of flavor to this. If you like it, go ahead and add some. Cook it down with everything else. A little more liquid here, more of our chicken broth. Probably at about 24 ounces right now. Now, after this mix, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this and let it sit for about 20 minutes to just hydrate all these pieces, and then we'll really get in with my hands here and kind of see where we're at. That gives you a much better feel for how soft, how dry your stuffing is. All right, I'm going to cover this with some foil and we're going to let this sit for 20 minutes. See you back here in 20 minutes. So our stuffing has been absorbing that liquid for about 20 minutes. Let's take a look and get it moving along. That's looking good here. Yeah, if you press down with a spoon now, you can really feel the softness. It's not fully hydrated yet, but it's getting close. Now, at this point, I want to add that final ingredient. This is totally optional. Remember when I said, as just a stuffing, a lot of times I will add Granny Smith apples to this that have been chopped up. I also like to add dried cranberries, Craisins, that sort of snacky dried cranberry. So I'm going to add 5 ounces to this. You don't have to, but I think it brings a nice sweetness to it. And we're moving to hands now, so we're just going to mix this in here. Move everybody around and start to feel how much more liquid we need. I can still feel that some of these pieces on the inside are a little bit hard there. So we are going to add some more of our chicken broth. I'm going to add, I don't know, maybe another half cup here. It's a real fine line between it being too dry and too wet. And you really have to take it to the way you like it. Some people like a very sort of crunchy, dry stuffing. I like it to be moist, but not mushy, kind of just right in the center there. I want the outside to especially be nice and moist, and the inside can have a little bit of texture to it, a little bit of structure, because it is going to soften some more once it bakes. Now about this time, you might want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. We're going to be baking the stuffing separately first before we add our mashed potatoes. Then it'll go back in again. Feeling pretty good. I think maybe another, I don't know, another half cup. I mean, and just look at how much the volume has decreased here from that pile of bread all the way down. This is down by 50% at least. That's feeling pretty good to me. Take a piece here and feel. Yeah, it's nice and soft on the outside, but I still feel that structure inside. And what I want to do right now is I'm going to take a little taste here and see if we need to add any salt at this point. That's good to me. I really like that level of salt in there. Good flavor from everything. All right, let's get this into our baking dish. So here is the baking dish I'm going to be using. Now, a lot of times you'll butter this, but we have a fair amount of butter in here. If you feel more comfortable doing that, go ahead. But if you look at the depth of this right here, like I said, it's 2.5 inches maybe. I really only want to take the stuffing up to about the midway point here, about 1 inch deep. Like I said, if we have any left over, it's going to just be some great stuffing on its own. Wish I had a better name for this. You know, some fancy combination that's clever. Potatoes, puffing, I don't know. I think it's just potatoes and stuffing. A little bit more here in a couple spots. And this is okay to press it down good in here to get it nice and filled. You can see we've got enough left over for a nice portion of stuffing on its own. All right, I'm going to cover this with foil. It's going to go in the oven for 30 minutes covered, then 15 minutes uncovered. So we got a total of 45 minutes. Then we're going to bring it out and let it rest while we get our potatoes ready. All right, here is our stuffing. We've got some nice color on top. It's nice and hot. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to set this aside. It's going to cool a little bit while we're getting our mashed potatoes ready, but that's fine. It's going to go back in the oven with those, and everything's going to end up toasty and tasty. So here I have 4 russet potatoes. Now these were pretty big russet potatoes. Cut them up, boiled them, and they are now ready to start mashing to make our mashed potatoes. Before I add our butter and our half and half and our salt and pepper, I just want to kind of pre-break them down a little bit, just to get things started. I'm going to add half a stick of butter. That's unsalted butter, 4 tablespoons. And we just want to work everything around here and keep breaking everything down. As that butter melts, we'll incorporate it. Normally when I make mashed potatoes just for eating mashed potatoes, I like to use red potatoes and leave the skin on. I like sort of more of a rustic potato when I'm doing mashed potatoes. But for this, I think peeled russet potatoes are better. It's going to give you a smoother texture on top. Plus, we have a lot of texture in that stuffing. But mashed potatoes are a very personal thing. It's kind of getting them to the consistency you like. I like not super creamy, not runny. I'm going to switch over to a spoon here. When I find a big lump, I just go in with the masher. Now I'm going to add some half and half. I'm going to start with about 1/4 cup. You can always add more. It's really hard if you add too much. And again, this is going for the consistency that I like. If you like them smoother, you can add more half and half or more butter. If you like them chunkier, add less. I'm going for somewhere in the middle here. I'm going to add a little bit more, maybe another 1/4 cup. I'm actually going to add a little bit more, even maybe another 1/4 cup. That's feeling much better. Add some salt and pepper here. I'm going to give a good pinch of kosher salt. Same with coarsely ground black pepper. Mix everybody together. I love peppery mashed potatoes. I kind of think of this as almost the perfect Thanksgiving side dish because, again, it combines 2 of the best things, stuffing and mashed potatoes. Get a little taste here. A little bit more salt. Get that mixed in. It's looking good. Let's get this on top of our stuffing. So here's our stuffing, and I just want to show you something. If you can see here, these are like little pillows if you press on them. If you get too much resistance there, like it feels like there is that hard center, you may need to add a little bit more chicken broth here just to give them a little more moisture, but the potatoes are going to seep a lot of moisture down into this, and right now these are feeling great. That's why I like to do it by feel, not just by amount. Start getting our potatoes in here. And you want to go for even coverage. Some areas you're going to need to get, a little bit more just to fill in, but try and get an even depth all the way around. You don't need to come all the way up to the top here, up to the rim of the baking dish. This is a little bit like a stuffing shepherd's pie. I like to try and get it so no stuffing is visible and the potatoes go right to the edge. That looks pretty good to me. And say we have maybe 2-3 servings of mashed potatoes left. That can go with the leftover stuffing, snack time. All right, this is going into our 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes just to set everything. Gonna get a few chives on here. And we can't forget some good turkey gravy here. That's good on stuffing and mashed potatoes. Cheers. That stuffing is soft and moist. The potatoes on top, perfect way to finish this off. I gotta say, I love mashed potatoes. I love stuffing. I love them separate. I will eat them separate, but if this is served at Thanksgiving, I'm going for this first.